Okay. I didn't do an all right, so I didn't okay. It's the same thing essentially, but we're gonna go with okay.
No, all right.
Yeah, Final Four is tomorrow. Apparently, I mean, I don't know. Everyone's bitching about ratings, as if why would we care about ratings? I don't know why the general public tries to care about ratings. What does it matter?
Isn't the real Final Four start tonight though? The one that the tickets are 3 times as high as the men's.
Well, you played your hand by saying that last part, your narrative or your thoughts here. I mean, hey, I think the winner on the men's side is more unlikely or unknown. I would say, wrong word, more unknown than the women's side.
Sure,
because I think South Carolina is probably unbeatable, right? I mean, let's be honest. Anyway,
yeah.
If Iowa wins, it counts for the Big Ten, but. Yeah, so you got the Elite Eight games. Those happen, right? Whenever those were, Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Feels like the gap between the Elite Eight and the Final Four is always way too long, but I guess that's just because it's 5 days, so it's more than any other gap in the tournament.
Would you rather it be like on a Wednesday, Friday or something? Okay.
No, it's fine the way it is. It's just,
You just need something to complain about. I get it.
Well, it can make people that aren't college basketball diehards lose interest completely, I think. And especially when your first game tomorrow is not Duke, North Carolina. So in the South region, you had San Diego State surviving Creighton. To call the foul call questionable would be an understatement, because that is just you can't call that. You just can't.
I don't know. People say it's a foul, so call it if it's a foul.
No.
I don't. Do they call that at the 10-minute mark? That's my question. Because I don't think they call that a foul at the 10-minute mark. So why would you call it at the 2-second mark?
Because the refs wanted to get in the mix late.
Yeah. Was the Big Ten doing that game?
Wouldn't surprise me. But that's just that's bad. I mean, credit to San Diego State for the way they've played this entire tournament, but that game should have gone to overtime.
And they were down like 13 in that game, right? No.
They were certainly down.
So a different game. I don't know.
A certain amount
they all run together.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's been many a days.
I barely got to watch any of these, so I'm going to be very helpful.
Well, none of these, only 2 of these games were really, I guess 3. If you don't like offense, then you like San Diego State Creighton. But
Creighton with 17 from 3 is brutal, huh? Yeesh.
Yeah, what can you do?
You lose games. That's what you do.
San Diego State's got a good defensive structure, of course. We all know this. In the Midwest, Texas blows a double-digit lead late. Miami surges to the finish line. And, Miami, they kind of just do this where they hang around enough to where their offense can explode, and they make every shot. Whoa, I just turned into Bruce Weber. They make every single shot, and that's what happened here. And Texas,
Texas known for choking. We saw
Marcus Carr late in that game when it was tied. What are you doing?
Yeah, what'd I tell you? Marcus Carr was going to lose that game for him.
You had Timmy Allen in the post with a guard on him. I think it was Nigel Pack on him.
Yeah,
and Carr didn't even look at him. Didn't even give him the ball. That was when it was tied, I believe. So that's kind of an issue. But Texas does the unthinkable and keeps Rodney Terry as their head coach, and we'll see what happens next season. I think you look at this team now, you're like, okay, you're going to have Tyrese Hunter. You're going to have they got a couple really good recruits coming in, I believe. Ron Holland is a 5-star name that you hear a lot about. But I guess it's Tom Holland. Okay.
Oh.
So, yeah, I think, moving forward, We'll see what the Texas program looks like. Obviously, when Rodney Terry had a chance at UTEP, wasn't great, but I believe he was at Fresno State before that and made a tournament. So, we'll see. It's a little bit of a different gig in Texas, obviously more resources. They also have A.J. Johnson. So they have number 6 and number 18 coming in 23, assuming those guys stay, which I think they would have said they weren't.
I feel like it's a direct slap in the face to be giving Chris Beard $5 million and then you give Rodney Terry $3.5 million.
No, I don't think it's anything because I think Chris Beard is way more experienced and has a way better resume. Got to overtime and national championship at Texas Tech. And Chris Beard at worst is one of the 10 best coaches in the country right now. I know what he did was obviously, what are you, an idiot? Would be my thoughts if I were talking to him. But I think Chris Beard, I don't think it's anything because I think just normal value. Chris Beard's a better coach by a mile. I don't know what to say. But yeah, if you want to play this game, we can look up Chris Beard's resume if you really want to go there.
No, I don't care.
Does Chris Beard get this team to a Final Four?
No.
Okay. But Chris Beard, Elite 8, second round at Arkansas Little Rock, runner-up at Texas Tech, second round. And, so there you go. And they got to the second round last year too, but they lost to Purdue. So we'll see what happens with Rodney Terry moving forward. Best of luck, obviously. No ill will here. We waxed the Texas squad with our squad earlier this season, so.
Yes, we did.
Suck on that, Texas. All right. The West, where UConn continues to just absolutely obliterate teams as they are. If they win the next 2 games by 10+, we're talking about the most dominant run in the history of the tournament, I think. They've just killed everybody. They beat Gonzaga by, what was the score? 82-54?
Oh, my Almost God. 30, yeah.
Yeah, Gonzaga never really had a chance, I guess.
Gonzaga are they top 2 offense? Top 1, 4, 6, 9?
They were number 1 going in, and they still are number 1.
54 points.
Yeah, that's got to be the least amount they've scored all year. Before that, it was 63 against Baylor, and which is weird. I guess Baylor decided to play defense in that game because Baylor defensively not great. But even when Texas made Gonzaga look bad, Gonzaga still scored 74 points. So this is kind of a different level of that because UConn is just like UConn was a great, and I said it going in, and I'm just an idiot because I pick against UConn every time for some reason, and I'm not going to do it this time, and they're probably going to lose. But anyway, UConn, they have the guys to guard not only Gonzaga's guards, but also Timmy, because Sanogo and Klingon off the bench, I feel like they could pretty much put up with any matchup for any team anywhere. So I'm not too surprised that they lost, but Gonzaga was definitely not in a good spot going into this game, given the matchup.
Yeah. Another team that 2 of 20 from 3. So that's it's not going to win a lot of games. Also 12 of 22 from the line. Ouch.
Yeah. You got to think about, the fact that if Gonzaga is not getting any production from their guards, you could pretty much end it. Because I don't know how much you're going to get from Anton Watson on the offensive end, nor should you expect to get that. It's just you need Malachi Smith to make some shots. He only had 8 points, and you need Strother to do some things. He had 11, but was 0 for 6 from 3.
Yeah,
just a huge contrast with Timmy having 36 against UCLA and then only 12 against UConn. I guess that just shows that. Turns out when UCLA doesn't have a Dim Bona and they have Mac Etienne guarding Drew Timmy in spots, and it's a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
And it's a difference. So I'm not surprised UConn won, but I am surprised they won by that much. I think I could have said, okay, they won by 16. I'd be like, okay, that makes sense, but 28 is
extreme.
The East region, FAU continues to make big shots down the stretch, and they beat Kansas State. I have no clue why Marquise Noel gave up the ball on that last second shot. Should have just thrown it up instead of having whoever he gave it to. Would he give it to Ish Mahmood, who shot it about 30 feet short?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Marquise Noel can kind of can really, really help you, but he could also hurt you in certain spots. And we saw some of that in this game. And I don't think anybody ever thought Kansas State was a legitimate national title threat. Maybe close. But either way, they went on a hell of a run. And it shows a lot about FAU, I think, that FAU was able to hang around. You'll see later that FAU, if they've made 8 or 9 threes in every single tournament game thus far. So those are helpful, obviously. When you have John L. Davis, who is their best player, who shoots 37% from 3. He goes 0 for 4 from 3, but you're still able to win. And you're still able to make 9 threes with Elijah Martin having 3 and Brian Greenlee having 4. And they got outscored by 10 in the first 10 minutes of the second half, but then outscored K-State by 9 in the final 10. So every single game of this tournament, and they were kind of lucky to beat Memphis, but other than that, they've been terrific in late game situations for the entire tournament.
Yeah, well, they were a buzzer beater away from not even getting out of the first round. So
yeah,
they're doing something. Conference USA. Woo.
Yeah, Conference USA, a CBI title, an NIT title, a little Conference USA on CUSA crime with North Texas and UAB in the NIT championship, which I didn't watch at all, but I'm glad everybody else on Twitter was watching. No interest in the NIT, just none. I can't. I watched Wisconsin, North Texas the other day because I wanted to see the Big Ten choke in March again. But I can't with the. We'll get into some Conference USA history here soon. I got history on each conference, so. But yeah, they let's just look at the final 10 minutes of every tournament game for FAU thus far. Okay, they outscored K-State in the final 10, 25-16. They outscored Tennessee in the final 10, 24-16. They outscored FAU 27-20 in the final 10. And they outscored Memphis 22-14 in the final 10. So that's +8, +7, +8, +9 in the final 10. So
that's how you win games.
That's how you beat teams late. And I'm very curious to see the Mensa versus Golden matchup underneath, because Mensa's blocked a lot of shots for SDSU in the first few games. We're going to see if he can handle Vlad Golden underneath. That'll be very interesting to see. And FAU-UConn, if that happens in the national title game, Golden versus Sunogo, we'll see. Sunogo's not as big as him, so, or at least height-wise. But I think Sunogo is significantly better. So that's just my thoughts. Okay. Let's look at the history of each school in the Final Four. And now, when you look at the first 3 teams, you're like, okay. Then when you get to UConn, it's a bit different than the other 3. But we'll start with San Diego State. This is their 15th NCAA tournament appearance, dating back to 1975 was their first. Sweet 16 appearances in 2011, 2014, and 2023. 6th season under head coach Brian Dutcher. 4th NCAA tournament appearance with him. They would have made it in 2020 as well, so that's 5 if you want to look at it that way. They'd never reached the round of 32 before this season with Dutcher as their head coach.
Really?
And they've won 20-plus games in all 6 seasons under Dutcher, and they're at 31 right now. So in terms of his tenure there, they've won a lot of games. They've had a couple years where they should have been in the tournament, but they didn't win the conference tournament, and the conference was a little bit weaker in those seasons. So overall, they've had some success. Probably the third most successful program in the Final Four. It's close between them and Miami, but we'll get there. Let's look at Florida Atlantic, where things just get kind of weird. This is their 2nd tournament appearance in program history. 2002 was their other one. They won the regular season in the Sun Belt in 2011. They went 21-11 that season. And as I mentioned a couple podcasts ago, this is their 2nd season with 20-plus wins in school history. 21-11 in 2011, didn't make the tournament. And then they're 35-3 right now. This is their 5th season under head coach Dusty May. Dusty May had 5 different assistant coaching gigs before landing the FAU job, and he went to Indiana, and he was a manager there, and then he had 5 assistant coaching gigs after that. He went 19.
He's a manager,
Yeah.
for the basketball team?
Yeah.
Okay.
He went 19-15 and 11-7 in the Conference USA last season. They lost in the first round of the CBI, and he's about to sign a big extension. So maybe they'll upgrade some of the facilities there, because I know that they're some of the worst in the conference.
Yeah, the court's beautiful though. Have you seen that picture floating around?
Well, it's in Boca Raton, so that would make sense if that's all they care about.
They definitely show Oregon how you actually put trees on a basketball court and not make it look hideous.
I'll be the judge of that. I don't know why you're taking shots at Oregon. I mean, that looks terrible.
What looks terrible?
Their court looks dumb.
What do you mean?
Doesn't do it for me.
Beautiful.
Definitely seen it before. I just didn't pay attention. I was like, I guess that's Oregon. Oh, wait, that's not Oregon. But, yeah.
Yeah, those palm trees look like big cypress trees, so I get it.
The color's the same.
Uh-huh.
I definitely watched FAU home games, some of their home games this year. I don't remember paying attention to the court, but maybe that's a me thing. Whatever. All right, let's look at Miami. Miami, this is their 12th NCAA tournament appearance. Their first was in 1960, and they didn't return to the tournament until 1998. And that is because there was a program hiatus from 1971 to 1985 because the University of Miami dropped the basketball program. So they had about 14 seasons gone. So they went 38 years between tournament appearances. And so that's not great. But anyway, they made the Sweet 16 in 2000. They made it in 2013, asterisk, totally rigged in that game against Illinois. 2016, 2022, and 2023. They've only advanced the Elite Eight in 2022 and 2023, so the last 2 seasons are their only Elite Eight appearances. This is their first Final Four in school history. This is their 12th season for Jim Larinaga as their head coach. He said that the NCAA tournament should expand to at least 96 teams. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, so I hope that he was trolling or something, because that is ridiculous. But anyway, this is his 6th tournament appearance. Yeah, well, that's just – I mean, I would say that too if I were an ACC coach and the ACC was where it's at right now, because they are carrying the ACC on their back, even though I don't see why schools like Pitt are taking a victory lap because Miami's in the Final Four. Like, oh, everybody said the ACC sucked. Yeah, Pitt beat an Iowa State team that scored 41 points in the first round. So anybody would have beaten Iowa State. Iowa State was terrible 6 seed, the worst 6 seed in the history of basketball. Seriously, that Iowa State this season is the worst 6 seed I've ever seen. Anyway, Larinaga at Miami, 4 Sweet 16s, 2 Elite Eights, 1 Final Four. So that's 4 Sweet 16s and 6 tournament appearances. So that's pretty good. Also went to the Final Four with George Mason, of course, in 2006. And I would say that Larinaga is quietly one of the better active NCAA tournament coaches there is. 16-10 overall is a pretty good record.
Yeah.
So 2 Final Fours with 2 different programs, back-to-back Elite Eights at Miami, a program where they hadn't been to the Elite Eight before. They claim to be a football school, even though their football program still sucks. So
it's true.
There you go. Speaking of a school that's got a football program that might be a little bit better than it used to be, which it definitely is UConn. Their football program was a disaster a few years ago. They've gotten a little bit better under the guidance of Coach Mora, of course. They're the only program in this Final Four that has a serious history. And I don't think that really surprises anybody with what we've seen from UConn. This is their 6th Final Four in school history, 1999, 2004, 2011, 2014, 2023. And that's with 3 different coaches. They won national championships in, 1999, 2004, 2011, 2014. But also, I forgot a Final Four year when I was saying Final Four. So let me just, unless I did my math wrong, let me hang on a sec here, folks. Bear with me. It's a lot of note taking. I must have got lost. 2009, they also made the Final Four. Excuse me. So they've won the national championship in 4 of their 5 previous Final Four appearances.
Yeah.
And this might be the easiest road ahead. No offense to the other teams.
What are your thoughts on blue blood fans not calling UConn a blue blood? Do you consider UConn in the blue bloods? Because I always have. So
I think there shouldn't even be any such thing as a blue blood if UConn's not in the conversation.
I agree.
If we're going to put schools that haven't done anything in 30 years up against a school that's won 4 national championships in the last 24 years, then what are we doing? And it says a lot about program stability, even though they had a couple rough years after Kevin Ollie, but 3 different coaches in that time as well.
Yeah.
It also says a lot about just like programs that there's always, like Syracuse was that way. When Syracuse would get in the tournament, they'd always go on a deep run. UConn, when they get in the tournament, unless it's the last 2 years before this, they usually make a big run. So, I mean, the fact they've been to the Final Four, they've been there 5 times before this year, and they won the title 4 times. It's just like, okay. Jim Calhoun won 3 championships in 26 seasons as their head coach from 1986 to 2012, and Kevin Ollie won it in 2014. That didn't work out. This is their 5th season under Dan Hurley. They're 52-18 their last 2 seasons overall, but they lost in the first round in 2021 and 2022. I believe they lost to, I want to say, Maryland in 2021 and New Mexico State last season. That is correct. They lost to Maryland by 9 as a 7 seed in 2021. And in 2022, they lost to New Mexico State as a 5 seed by 7. And obviously, New Mexico State's the biggest disaster in college basketball right now since last season they had Serge Rice and Chris Jans, and both those guys gone, and the program's dead. Anyway, Hurley made the second round twice at Rhode Island in 2017 and 2018 before taking the UConn job. Obviously, UConn was in the American for a while. That kind of ruined everything for them. But they're back in the Big East, and eventually I think that this would happen. Not surprising, given the way this team started, 14-0.
Yeah.
All right. What? Go. You're about to
say history of each school. What? No, I wasn't saying anything.
I thought you were. I'm pretty sure you were. Pretty sure.
I was just saying that you were on UConn all year. Midway through the season, they were your number one. And you fell out. You weren't a fan anymore. Look at you now.
Not sure about that. All right. Let's look at the conference.
I got video proof.
Good. Let's get the conference perspective here, just to look at each conference. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit different when we talk about the ACC than when we talk about Conference USA. But let's look at the Mountain West. Actually, the Mountain West, the least successful out of the 4 conferences, obviously the youngest as well. They have one Final Four team in their history, which is San Diego State.
Really?
Their tournament record as a conference, and take into account that this is any team that's ever been in the Mountain West while they were in the Mountain West. Okay, so Utah would count. The Mountain West is 26-58 in 59 tournament appearances. That's bad.
Good. Oh.
San Diego State has a record of 10-11 in the NCAA tournament. Utah went 4-6 in the tournament when they were in the conference from 2000 to 2009. Utah State, Fresno State, Boise State, and Air Force are a combined 0-10 in the NCAA tournament while in the Mountain West.
That sounds right.
So the Mountain West, not a lot of tournament success. And I think we've all known that, given the fact that they had multiple teams last season that bounced out early. Everybody except for San Diego State this year went out early. Nevada got killed in the first 4. Boise State got beat by Northwestern. Utah State got beat by Missouri. So don't trust a Mountain West team unless it's San Diego State, I think, is the lesson here.
Yeah, I mean, they got to look to upset people to go anywhere, right?
Is there a
San Diego State?
Is there a sports team in the country right now that is less representative or less associated with what we think San Diego is than San Diego State? They don't feel like they're in San Diego at all. I think of San Diego, I think the Padres. I think of like sun, palm trees, beach. Like San Diego State feels like a program that's in like
Mexico,
New Mexico.
They're pretty close. So
Albuquerque.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
But what can you do? Conference USA. You'll notice that Conference USA's success has pretty much come because of schools that are no longer in the conference. They have four Final Fours in their history, dating back to 1996. They're 60 and 58 in 59 tournament appearances. So that means that the Mountain West and Conference USA both have 59 different tournament appearances in their history. One of which has 60 wins, the other one has 26. Final Four teams from Conference USA. So Marquette made it in 2003 when they were there. Louisville made it in 2005 when they were there. And Memphis, obviously, with Derrick Rose in 2008. And FAU now in 2023. FAU is 4-0 in school history in the NCAA
Talk about
tournament.
a conference falling off. Holy cow.
Yeah. Not good. And then you look at others, Conference USA members with the most wins. So it starts with, I think, let me look here. Hang on a sec. One moment, please. Hold, please. Hold, please.
We're here. Don't worry.
Holding. Before it. Okay, typed in the wrong thing. Hold again.
Oh, man. Fumbling.
Here we go. Let's see here. So, wait for it. Okay, so the most wins right now by an active program in the conference is Florida Atlantic with 4, because Florida Atlantic's other tournament appearance was in a different conference. But so the most tournament wins in the Conference USA in the history, Memphis had 15, Cincinnati had 12, Louisville had 10, Marquette had 5. So after that, you go to the teams that are actually in there now, and you're like, okay. Charlotte is 4-7 in tournament history.
Really?
UAB is 4-7, and Middle Tennessee is 2-2. So not great. I'm surprised Western Kentucky hasn't done anything, but it's because they are a disappointment every season. So there you go. All right, let's go to the ACC, where it's just like, okay, would you like to guess how many Final Fours the ACC has been to in the history of college basketball? You're going to go way over the number probably, but we'll see.
I'm trying to think how many years.
Well, this dates back to 1954.
Okay. All right. That helps. 70. I'm going to go with 62.
It is 49. 49.
All right.
49 Final Four appearances from ACC teams, 15 national championships, 475 and 249 in 262 appearances overall. Final Four teams since 2015. We'll go back to Duke's national championship in 2015. You have Duke and North Carolina in 2021. You have Virginia in 2019. You have North Carolina also in 2016 and 2017. You have Syracuse in 2016, and you have Duke in 2015. Three championships since 2015. Duke won it in 15. North Carolina won it in 17. Virginia won it in 19, which makes you think that it would have added up, that if they won in 15, 17, and 19, they would have won in 21. And if North Carolina could hold a lead, they would have won in 21. They would have had 4 straight every other year champions out of the ACC. And I don't –
impressive.
If Louisville was in the ACC in 2013, that would have been 5, because they were in the Big East at the time when they won in 13. So even though people try to pretend that title's vacated, which I think is – give me a break. Who cares? Anyway, the ACC's been very successful, and it almost has nothing to do with Miami, but here they are. So go ahead and keep taking those victory laps, Pitt, when most of Pitt's program success is when they were in the Big East.
From my math, the ACC has a 60% chance of getting a team to the Final Four. It's pretty good.
Well, the conference is totally mid, as the kids say. All right, the Big East. The Big East has been a weird conference throughout its history. Obviously, a lot of weird changes here and there, losing some teams they shouldn't have lost, getting some teams they probably shouldn't have. Wise DePaul in the Big East, whatever. They have 24 Final Fours, which is maybe a little bit lower than you'd think. 43 years, only 24, I guess, that maybe. I mean, Villanova's carried them a lot.
Yeah.
9 championships, 353 and 229 overall in 239 appearances. Here are their Final Four teams since 2010. Lose my voice. Okay. It's not even losing the voice. It's just a whole big thing. Villanova in 2022. Villanova in 2018. Villanova in 2016. Syracuse in 2013 when they were in the Big East. Louisville in 2013 won a national championships. By the way, Villanova 2016 and 2018 were both national championships as well. So that's 3 titles in 10 years. And Louisville also made it in 2012. And then I said since 2010, so you also have UConn in 2011. Remember, UConn got there in 2014, but they were in the AAC by then. So the American Athletic Conference has a championship in the last 9 years, and the Big Ten has 0. And West Virginia made it in 2010. So you look at this with UConn. UConn ranks second in conference history with 52 NCAA tournament wins. Villanova is first with 53. Syracuse is third with 50. And remember, Syracuse isn't even in the conference anymore. They'd be first. Georgetown is fourth with 45. And then you just are like, okay, Pitt is fifth with 18. So Pitt only 27 spots behind Georgetown. But now they can't increase that number because they're in the ACC. So keep taking those ACC victory laps, Pitt, even though you have 18 tournament wins in your program history when you're in the Big East. Embarrassing. Let's look at how many wins Pitt has in the tournament in the ACC. The answer is 3. And 2 of those were this year. And one of them was a fake first 4 game against the worst offense in the country. Like Pitt, why is Pitt even talking? They beat the 2 worst offenses in the field that weren't 16 seeds. Mississippi State and Iowa State were both horrific offensive basketball teams. And Pitt is taking a victory lap. It's hilarious to me. What are we doing? Nobody cares that you won 24 games. You beat a team that scored 59 points and a team that scored 41 points. And let me tell you, it wasn't because of your 102nd ranked efficiency defense, okay? That wasn't what it was. Mississippi State's 176th on offense. They're the worst three-point shooting team in the country. Iowa State's 113th on offense, 215th from 3. I mean, come on. Pitt had 2 of the most fraudulent tournament wins of the year. The Illini could beat both of those teams. That says a lot, okay? All right. So I think from a history perspective, it's pretty easily the ACC, the Big East, and then the Conference USA with teams that aren't even there anymore, and then the Mountain West. So I don't think any of that matters in terms of what's going to happen here. I think it's unfortunate that the 2 best teams left are going to be playing each other, but that's just the way that it shook out this year. And I think it's weird that we have 2 5s, a 4, and a 9 in the Final Four. All right, let's look at the tail of the tape, as they say in the UFC and boxing and such of such. Yeah, here we go. Sorry, I got distracted by a tweet. Okay, San Diego State and Florida Atlantic. This game taking place at 5:09 Central on CBS. I will be on playback.tv, barring anything happening. I don't even know what that means, but should be on playback.tv for this game and probably the second one, but we'll see. Let's look at some stats. The adjusted offense and defense metrics for both sides. San Diego State 74th and 4th in order of offense and defense, and FAU a little bit more balanced at 24 and 30th. Scoring by game in the tournament. San Diego State has scored 63, 75, 71, 57. They've allowed 57, 52, 64, 56. FAU has scored 66, 78, 62, 79. And they've allowed 65, 70, 55, 76. Which, that tells me that San Diego State's held their opponents under 63 times. And the only one they didn't was Alabama. Best players on each side, the players that you got to see, you want to watch the matchups. For San Diego State, I think it's Matt Bradley's the number 1 guy, averaging 12.5 points per game, 3.8 rebounds per game, 2.1 assists. He's only had 8 points in the last 2 games, though, so we'll see if he can get it going in this game. And obviously their best player in the tournament's probably been Darian Trammell who averaged 9 and 2 and 3 in the regular season. So, or I guess going into this game, since it takes everything into account. But we know him from the 21-point performance against Alabama in the Sweet 16. So he will be a huge part of what San Diego State does in this game. And another one that I mentioned earlier is going to be Nathan Mensah, who averaged 6 points and 6 rebounds, averaging 3 blocks per game in the tournament. He's got 12 blocks in 4 games. We'll see how he handles Vlad Golden. That's going to be a huge matchup in this game. And I wonder how much FAU is going to bring Vlad out for the pick and roll or the two-man game with another guard. Are they going to feed the paint against Mensah because Mensah's lengthy and a really good shot blocker? It's going to be interesting to see what Dusty May does there. Maybe you have to rely on your guards to make some shots, but then you look at San Diego State has about 37 guards that are really good defenders and physical. So I don't know. For FAU, it's guards. It's John L. Davis, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist per game, 29 points in the second round against FDU. Elijah Martin, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, had 17 points on very efficient shooting against Kansas State, 54 from the field, 43 from 3, and 100 from the line. We got Vlad Golden averaging 10 points, 6 rebounds. He's got 40 rebounds in the NCAA tournament, so he's averaging 10 rebounds per game in the 4 games. Here's my biggest key for each team. For San Diego State, it is using your guard depth and length to your advantage when guarding FAU's guards. Because San Diego State has a lot of guards that can guard. Now, we use the word guard a lot here. But they need to use those because they did pretty well against Creighton's guards. And Creighton, while FAU's guards are really good, I think Creighton has better guards. So guard the guards.
Guard the guards.
If Vlad Golden's going to get 20 and 10, you can live with that. But I don't think he is because Mensah, and they have other guys too that can block those shots. Just saying. And then for FAU, you got to make your threes. They've made 9 threes in the round of 64 and the Sweet 16. They made 8 threes in the round of 32 in the Elite 8. So you got to hit that number, and it's going to be really hard to do against San Diego State because maybe you could pull this up. The threes that San Diego State's allowed in each game. I know they allowed, 2 against Creighton? And Alabama made 3, I think. So that's going to be a big key. If FAU's not making threes, then San Diego State has them right where they want them. We need elevator music.
Who am I looking up? Creighton.
San Diego State, threes allowed each game.
You think that it's just going to pull that up for me? 2 against Creighton. You are correct.
3 against Alabama.
3 against Alabama.
6 against Furman.
14 against
5 against Charleston. So they've allowed 6 or less in each game, and it keeps going down. It went 5, then it went 6, but then it went 3, then it went 2. And FAU's made 8 or 9. So that's going to be a big key for FAU. Your thoughts on the matchup?
I think that San Diego State's defense is too good. I think that defense wins you tournaments, and I think there's 2 teams that are better at defense than the other teams.
That's very true, and that is a great point. And I feel like after talking about, brilliant. I feel like after talking about all these this game, that I'm going to regret my pick, but we're just going to stick with it. And I'm going to be wrong anyway because I'm always wrong. It's stupid.
Yeah, but that's true.
I think if San Diego State played UConn, that would be a horrible matchup for San Diego. I think UConn's a bad matchup for anybody. I think if UConn just makes if Hawkins and Caravan make shots, you're dead.
Yeah.
Because Sonogo is probably going to have 20 and 10 no matter what, no matter who they're playing. So we'll see. Maybe the most underrated matchup of the week is Norchad Omier versus Adama Sonogo. So, because a lot of people will be talking about, we got to see how does Andre Jackson defend Jordan Miller and how does Naheem Aline guard Nigel Pack and Jordan Hawkins against Isaiah Wong. I mean, let's look at the feast underneath. I mean, we got to look at that. Miami-UConn. Ken Palm splits offense and defense in order. Miami 5th and 104th. Teams that are unbalanced like that do not win national championships. However, this tournament has made no sense, and my elbow popped. I hope everybody heard that. UConn on the other end, 3rd and 11. So UConn fits the profile of a national champion so much more than anybody else that's left, and it's just going to make no sense when they don't win it.
Right. I agree.
What team other than UConn, what of the other three do you close your eyes, you're like, I can see them winning a national championship? Because that's a big part of the tournament.
Maybe San Diego State, but
the easy answer would be Miami, but we got to stop pretending like Miami has any sort of tournament success.
Yeah.
San Diego State doesn't really either, but this is so dumb. I mean, it really is. I don't want a blue blood Final Four like we had last season, but I'd also prefer to not have this. But either way, it's not
you don't want a dominant team in the Final Four. Is that what you're saying?
Well, UConn is a dominant team, yeah, but the other three, come on. Well, there needs to be 2 if there's going to be 1.
Okay. Right.
So I think we probably needed to get Marquette in here instead of FAU, no offense, or Alabama instead of San Diego State. Miami's fine. I think everybody expected Miami to go on some sort of run. Not me. I had them losing the Sweet 16, but I definitely talked about how that if anybody – you could pull the clips on this one. I guarantee you I said that if any team in the ACC is going to make a run, it's going to be Miami. I guarantee you I said that. There's no way I didn't say that. Scoring by NCAA tournament game for Miami, 63. How did they score 63 points against Drake? 85, 89, 88 in their next 3. So they scored 89 against Houston and 88 against Texas. That makes sense. Okay. Points allowed per game, 56, 69, 75, 81. UConn also scored at a high clip, 87, 70, 88, 82. And they've allowed at a low clip, 63, 55, 65, 54. Everything about this UConn team points to them winning this game by 15 and then winning the national championship by 30.
Yeah.
Which would be great. I would take the biggest victory lap ever if Dan Hurley won a national championship. Ever. I took a victory lap over saying how good they were last season when they lost in the first round. I retweeted and I was like, oh, well, it's just a year off. Then people are like, shut up, idiot. And I'm like, victory lap.
Shut up, idiot.
Best players to watch. I'm going to go – I think Norchad Omer is a very important player in this game for Miami, but I'm going to go guards. I'm going to go Isaiah Wong. Averages 16 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists per game, had 27 points against Indiana in the round of 32. Going to go Jordan Miller, who is the unsung hero of this team. 15 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. They have so much balanced scoring. But he was 7 for 7 from the field and 13 for 13 from the free throw line against Texas. And I texted you those numbers, and you were like, who? And I was like, yeah. I keep calling him Jalen Miller, though, so I think I'm confusing everybody. I think Jalen Miller was that freshman douchebag from Rutgers.
That's what threw me off. You're right.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt here. Jalen Miller's the freshman douchebag from a couple years ago that tried to fight Trent Frazier for no reason at Rutgers. He's in the portal now, so hope you go play to mid-major and you still suck. Nigel Pack, 13 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 26 points against Houston in the Sweet 16. The fact that I just totally mumbled all those words at the end, but I'm trying to get to another point here. The fact that Nigel Pack is their number 3 scorer, I think says a lot about Miami's offense. This is a guy that came here to be one of the centerpieces. Maybe they're supposed to be their best player, and he's their 3rd leading scorer. So
it's definitely the most paid, right?
Oh yeah, big time. So we had the potential of a Nigel Pack versus Nigel Pack national championship with Miami, Kansas State, but didn't get there. All right, UConn. I'm going to go with an unsung hero for them, or I guess their glue guy or their most important guy. Kind of like if you look at past national champions, look at Mark Vital, except I think this guy's better. But Andre Jackson Jr., 6 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists average. His stat lines are stupid in this tournament. Just every single stat line is okay, he didn't do anything. But then you're like, wait a second, yes, he did. Wait, no, he didn't. Oh, yeah, he did. This is points, rebounds, assists in order. He had 8, 9, and 10 against Gonzaga, 7, 8, and 7 against Arkansas, 6, 6, and 7 against St. Mary's, and 10, 5, and 7 against Iona. So He's stuffing the stat sheet, no doubt. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a triple-double in one of these games. He got pretty close against Gonzaga. Only needed another bucket, another rebound. But, yeah, I've talked a lot about how Andre Jackson might be one of the most athletic players I've seen in a while. He can't shoot, which is a problem, but it hasn't been that big of a problem recently. Teams have still been playing off, and it's still not working to their advantage. So he's an important player, and so is Jordan Hawkins, who averages 16 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist. Had 24 against Arkansas in the Sweet 16 and 20 against Gonzaga in the Elite Eight. If he goes, they go. I think everybody knows that. If Hawkins is making shots, he wasn't making anything in the first half against Iona, and they were down 2 at the half, and then they all turned it on in the second half. And then the third one is obviously the big man, Adama Sanogo, averages 17 points, 7 rebounds, 1.3 assists for a center is pretty good.
Yeah.
I guess he passes out a lot. His best game of the tournament was the first one where he turned it on, 28 and 13 against Iona. So we're going to see. I mean, UConn's got about 9 weapons that can kill you. So, I mean, you just look. You have Tristan Newton, Naheem Aline, Andre Jackson, Jordan Hawkins, Adama Sanogo, Donovan Clingan, Alex Caravan, Joey California, and I might have forgotten one. But that's 8 right there. So I don't think anybody's 8 deep. I think Miami's like 6 deep in terms of real threats. FAU is probably like 5, and then SDSU is probably like 6 or 7, but that's not real offensive threat. The contrast in leading scorers for Miami and San Diego State is kind of funny. I think Miami has like 4 double-digit average scorers, and San Diego State has 1, and I think it's Matt Bradley is their top scorer, and he averages 12 points per game. So they have a lot of guys that are averaging 7 or 8 points, kind of like the Illini. There's your Illini reference. The biggest key for each game, or for each team in this game, Miami. Do they have a Sanogo stopper, which would be Omier? And can their guards still put up good numbers against a frontline defense like UConn? Because UConn's got a lot of guys. And Andre Jackson's going to be guarding one of the 3 guards, probably Jordan Miller. And Tristan Newton, he's no slouch. And Jordan Hawkins, I don't know. I think it's an easier matchup for Miami than Texas was. But we know Texas in their program history, they choke in everything. They spend a ton of money just to choke. And they got a choke artist from Minnesota with the ball in his hands late down the stretch instead of the guy who was All-American level in the tournament last season at Iowa State. Got Iowa State to a Sweet 16, which might be the biggest upset in tournament history if you look at Iowa State with Tyrese Hunter. So, and for UConn, simple. Will Calcaterra, Caravan, and Hawkins make shots? If the shots are going in, nobody's beating them. It's that simple. Your thoughts? Toss over to you.
I think that Miami's guards have to have a big game for them to have a chance in this. So, my thoughts.
Can Norchad Omier get 15 rebounds or 20 rebounds against UConn?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, UConn, I feel like I haven't looked at the numbers, but I feel like they're probably one of the best rebounding teams in the country. I mean, Bobby Hurley's team flies around the rim. Why can't Dan Hurley's team?
It's true.
They're second in offensive rebound percentage in the country. That's only behind Kentucky, who had Shibwe. And they don't allow very many offensive rebounds. So that'll be a big factor as well, because if you look at Miami in their tournament games to this point, they had only 4 offensive rebounds against Texas, but that makes sense because the way Texas plays. They had only 6 against Houston, also makes sense because the way Houston plays. But Indiana, they had 20 offensive boards. And Drake, they had 9. So we'll see if Omier can get it going. He had 14 rebounds against Drake, 17 against Indiana, 13 against Houston, and 9 against Texas. But none of those 4 teams have the interior presence of Sanogo. And we all know Trace Jackson Davis is a fraud because every good player in the Big Ten becomes a fraud in March. It's stupid. All right, the picks. Here we go. I went 0-4 in the Elite Eight. You went 1-3 out of just pure luck because you picked the team that I didn't pick.
That's right. So the way that I've been commenting, you guys would probably think that I'm going to pick San Diego State UConn, but I'm going to flip it. I'm going to do an all Florida championship game. Give me FAU over San Diego State and Miami over UConn.
I'm being sarcastic when I say this, but I would not watch that game. I mean, FAU Miami, are you kidding me? There's no way. Honestly, if San Diego State and UConn aren't in, I'm out.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm going first game. Give me FAU over San Diego State. I think the crazy run's going to continue for the Owls. And I think they have a lot of guys in this team that can return next year, I think. Who knows what the NIL opportunities will be for them, but apparently there's coaches.
Their coach said they're not going anywhere, right?
I mean, John L. Davis, Elijah Martin, and Vlad Golden are sophomores, so
yeah, but they're going to have Tyree Bryan next year, so they'll be all right.
That's true. Former future Illini Tyree Bryan. Is Florida Atlantic moving conferences? Why do I think that they're moving conferences?
I don't know.
Let me look. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they are. Florida Atlantic's moving to the American Athletic Conference on July 1st. They could own that conference too. You know why? Houston's going to the Big 12. There you go. So your competition in the AAC is Memphis now. So FAU, keep it rolling. I think SDSU's defense will struggle, not in the sense that they won't be playing well, but in the sense that FAU is going to make a lot of shots where you're like, what are we even doing here? What are we supposed to do? Because FAU's done that all tournament. I think they're going to make a lot of big shots. And then, I mean, I should pick Miami if I really cared about Dan Hurley and the UConn program.
Yeah, you should.
But I'm going to test it. Give me the Huskies. I think they shoot their way to a big win. I don't think the shots that Miami's been getting are going to fall as much. And I think Norchad Omier is going to struggle against Adama Sanogo. So UConn, FAU national championship game.
You going to watch that one?
Well, obviously. I mean, my guy, I might even get a UConn shirt for that game.
Yeah. Better get it ordered now. You know what my wife did? She ordered a UCLA shirt to wear against the Gonzaga, and she's like, I got three or four more wears out of this. And then they lost. So do not order the shirt if you want UConn to win.
I remember like 10 years ago, I got a Syracuse shirt when they were going on a deep run because I used to not hate Jim Boeheim, and then
back when Syracuse was fun to watch.
Yeah, and then they
I think
lost.
everybody was a Syracuse fan at one time.
And then Boeheim became a complete dickhead moron in the ACC. I mean, the fact that program's in the ACC, some conference realignment is just so stupid. But college basketball is going to look a lot different next year in the Big 12. Let me tell you that. Houston, Cincinnati, UCF, BYU all going to the Big 12. A couple years from now, you'll see UCLA, USC in the Big 10. It's going to get real dumb around here, let me tell you. But in terms of ratings in the national championship game, what possible matchups do you think are the highest rated? I think UConn, San Diego State's number 1.
Yeah.
I think UConn, FAU is number 2 because UConn is going to be – I would say Miami, FAU might be number 3 and Miami, San Diego State number 4, but I don't really know. It could be reversed in the 3 and the 4. But either way, number 1 and 2 –
3 and 4 would be reversed. But
number 1 and 2 revolve around UConn for sure. Like UConn's going to be the number 1 rating in the national championship if they get there no matter what. But either way, as I said at the beginning of this program, ratings shouldn't matter to us normal people. You know? I don't know why we should care.
I don't care.
Exactly.
I'm going to watch the game. I don't care if anybody else does.
Yeah, you know, there's only one brand left right now, so I'm sure the NCAA is loving this. Expand to 96, it'll get even weirder.
That's true.
I'm done with the NCAA tournament if it goes to 96, by the way.
Okay. You mean we won't have to do these anymore?
It will be over. Zero interest in a 96 team tournament.
How do you start a petition on change.org?
I don't think we need one. I don't think it's actually going to happen.
It was comical. Sorry. Bad. Anyways,
So with my comment, I mean, what?
So how come you can't move the little box over to the middle so we didn't cover up FAU the whole time? Huh?
What box? This?
Fix your shit, StreamYard.
Yeah, they need to let us move those around, and they need to let us move other things around too. But like these cameras right here, they look sick. But yeah, all right. In terms of what we're going to be doing here moving forward, I think we'll do a national championship game preview and discuss the Final Four games either Sunday or Monday. It's up to you, really. And then usually we do a national championship game recap right after the game, and it's usually 10
or
minutes.
after one shining moment.
Well, the last couple of years, I think we've done it right before.
Okay.
Because our national championship recap is usually 10 minutes. So we will see. And then after that, in terms of college basketball content on here, I think we'll see in October. would be my thoughts. And obviously you can check out the Illini basketball podcast, which will be multiple times throughout the summer, amongst others. And if you're looking for other content that'll be posted on this podcast feed, you're going to see some stuff. I got some NHL playoff stuff. I got some NHL draft stuff. I got a couple guys to talk to for that. Unless you want to join as well. Talk about how Adam Fantilli would be the number one pick in any draft, but he's not going to be the number one pick in this draft. Same with Leo Carlson and Matvey Mechkov. But anyway.
Yeah, Fantilli, that's disappointing.
Yeah, so – Yep, no doubt. So yeah, there'll be plenty of stuff on here. Just we won't talk college basketball after the next two for many months, but that's neither here nor there. I'm going to keep the small cameras going with the rest of this thing so you can see the entire thing here, and we'll see everybody before the national championship game, and hopefully
Oregon colors. What are you doing here? You see, you got Oregon shirt on.
Picked a random color for this. This is the too light of a green for Oregon. If you can see Oregon here, it's a little bit darker wrong side. This one. And you can see it roll up close. Here, we'll just do this. See that? That's a darker green than this. It's like right next to it. You can see easily. So nice try.
But I'm saying in the background it looks the same.
All right, we'll see everybody for